Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going to be working on several small projects. We're starting out here with a little bit of pruning, and I know it looks like we shouldn't be pruning this time of year, but our forecast is awesome. Today's high is 40, and we don't have any freezing temperatures in the next 10 days, so that's amazing. Great time to get out on certain things and do a little bit of pruning while they're dormant. We're going to haul wood, get a fire started inside because our wood pile's getting a little small by the house, and then I would like to pot up some of those houseplants that we just picked up down at the garden center when they got their new load in. So here's a look around at what things are looking like right now. You can see the snow is starting to melt away a little bit. There's Douglas giving himself a bath. I'm back in there. Remember when we brought the pots home last week? It was completely covered in snow. Like, we set the pots on the pallets down right in snow, and it's starting to clear up quite a lot. So this is our project out here for this morning. We're gonna prune up this wisteria right here. This is not the time of year you want to be pruning wisteria, so keep that in mind. If you have a wisteria, unless you're pruning it to keep its growth in check, which is what I'm doing today, you might forfeit blooms because they bloom on old wood. So what they do is they set their buds on the prior year's growth for the next year's bloom. So if you're wanting to prune on your wisteria, it's best to do so immediately after they're done flowering, and then you'll have blooms for the next year. But this is just an out-of-control plant. I put it here, or planted it here, when this area was completely different than it is now. Had I known how the area would evolve, I would probably not have planted it here, but you just don't know those things. Like when I planted it here, I don't even think the chicken run was here. There definitely wasn't a tree here, and there was a little tool shed sitting right here. And my thought process was to have the wisteria grow over this arbor right here, and then also onto the tool shed, and kind of, you know, soften the front part of the tool shed. And this is one of the more aggressive types of wisteria. You can see how established it has become. It's got quite a large trunk. I came in here last year. It was later in the season, but it was still pretty warm. And I exposed all of this really neat structure right here. I mean, I pruned so much of the growth off from right here. I just wanted to clean it up a little bit. It was just getting out of control. So 3 types of wisteria, 2 of which are very aggressive. The Japanese wisteria, the Wisteria floribunda, which is what I have. It's a double flowered, beautiful purple wisteria. There's also the Chinese wisteria, which is the sinensis wisteria, and then there's American wisteria, which is Wisteria floribunda, and that is the type that I would, if I was going to recommend a type of wisteria, that would be the type to find, because they're less aggressive. They're not as much to control. You can see you can still control these, but it is a lot of work to do it. These don't run anywhere. I've not had them pop up anywhere, but the top growth is like, oh, it's so much. So I want to just kind of smooth out the whole top area, get rid of all that top growth there, and just have it look like it's on the arbor for now. We might still get some blooms down below. I mean, if we come take a look a little bit closer, see where we can see it the best. See, like on this one right here, we've got buds. Can you see that? This camera is not the best at close up. There are buds all over right in here. So we might be a little selective when we get down lower, but where I experienced the most amount of blooms last year was kind of like right up in here, and they were dangling down under the arbor. It was so pretty. It's just been something I've been looking at, walking by all winter long, thinking, oh, I need to get my hands on that thing, and today is the day. So I'm gonna go grab my Felcos, and I don't know if I'm going to grab a pop-up bag, maybe. I'm going to get the Felcos I just cleaned. Hey, Cheddar. Hey, buddy. Oh, here they are. You know what? Do you want an update on geraniums real quick? Look at these flats of geraniums. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I think we need to pop the lid off this. It's only been like 4 days, maybe? Oh, my goodness. Oh, that tray is a little slower right there. I'm going to leave the dome on that one. Nothing in the echinacea tray yet. Lizzianthus looking so good. Need to come in and separate these. Geraniums are just the best to grow because they are so fast, and it's almost instant gratification. I think I'm going to need to grab a ladder as well. I don't think I can reach all of that on my own. Last night I had some graph paper out, kind of lining out some new areas, and that's the first time I've done that this winter, and oh, it makes me so excited. Okay, so I'm just gonna take my pruners and I'm just gonna start cutting. I am gonna cut this one back further, but just as an example, when I do go in to cut, I do find an area just up from a branch that's coming off. Like, I don't want to cut it right in the center and have a big stump sticking out like that. I want it to be pretty close to where another branch comes off of the main branch. I'm gonna need loppers too. I'm seeing some thicker branches I need to cut. So I'm gonna grab those and then we're just gonna get this done. Oh, I need to clean these. My goodness. Gloves. Cheddar. Look out, buddy. Move. Oh my goodness, you guys, what a transformation. I can breathe easier for this entire space. Oh, I was able to unwind a bunch of the wisteria from the birch tree. There is one branch that's kind of up in this area that I could not reach, even if I stood really high on the ladder, and this is kind of uneven ground. So unless I had somebody holding the ladder, I left it up there. At least it's cut from the main plant so it won't continue to grow. But oh, it just is so much cleaner. And while we did most likely cut off some buds, I don't even care, honestly. We'll probably still have a few blooms anyway, and just starting with a cleaner plant for this space, I think is the way to go. And that's where choosing the right plant makes all the difference. Now, while I chose the plant that I thought was going to work for this space at one point in time, our spaces evolve too. And sometimes it turns into a space like this where it doesn't make as much sense as it did when I planted it initially, and it may need to move. And that's okay. But I want to keep the growth in check in this place so that everything else around it is healthy and unfettered by the wisteria branches. And not only were we able to clean up the wisteria, but I was able to save a bunch of the really long flexible branches so that we could make some wreath forms. So I've got a big pile of them in the greenhouse. I thought we would just take a little time this afternoon and I'll show you how to do that, because any kind of woody vine that you are pruning, or even really long flexible tree branches, things like that, you can use them for free wreath forms, which is so fun. Here they are. I kind of pruned off the biggest stuff, but there are a few branches in here that are attached to some flexible stuff that I might have to prune out. But anything like this works so great. So I'm gonna go inside real quick and make myself something to drink, and we're gonna come back out here and make the wreath forms. All right, guys, to make your wreath, you want to gather up some branches. There's about, 6 or 7 right here. And this is a really good time to test whether or not your branches are going to be easy to make a wreath out of. Kind of just bend them like this and see what they look like. And that already looks beautiful. And if you want to make it very easy on yourself, you could use wire. We're not going to use anything but the twigs themselves today, but you could wire them together in different spots and kind of manipulate them that way. Look at that. That is going to kind of be the base of our wreath. Now, the beauty about making your own is that you can make them in whatever size you want. You can make them really kind of open and loose or really dense and tight. But once you get the branches wound around and into a size that you like, then we're gonna take the tails right here and we're gonna start weaving them in and out. So I've got one right here, taking it around the back side of the wreath and then around the front side. Some of them are more pliable than others, but that one, let's see. There we go. This process takes just a little while, and once you get that first round done, then you can much more easily tuck more new branches in and make it bigger and thicker. So we've got some, okay, this one looks like it's broken, and this one as well. Okay, take this one, we'll go behind. That one's got a really neat curly Q on it. Go through there. And when you weave them like that, they just kind of, yeah, you weave them together and they just kind of hold. Cheddar keeps trying to get all of my branches. What? I could have spent more time going through that pile and finding branches that were a little bit more equal in size. But that's okay. And it feels like a super awkward, fumbly thing to do, even if you've made them before a lot in your life and it's been a while. But the more you go around the wreath and kind of weave these things in, the easier it starts to feel. Trust me, I promise. We got these big ends to deal with here. Boys, no fighting. Boy, the cats today are full of beans. So nice out there, you guys, right now. So I ended up staying inside a little bit longer than I thought I was going to because Benjamin really wanted to mix up his volcano. He got a volcano kit for his birthday. So we mixed up plaster and got the volcano all made. We'll be able to do the eruption part tomorrow. Coming together. I do have my Felcos as well. In situations like this where it gets really tough to bend them, I'm just gonna, well, I might just even leave that one that long, but separating them can be helpful. Look at that, isn't that awesome? So this is our base of our wreath right here. It's looking pretty round. Sometimes they can turn out a little bit wonky, but the beauty of our flexible branches is you can kind of give them a little bit of a bend and form them the way you want to. Now you'll notice this part right here looks the thickest because this is where the network of like the ends of the branches were. So the next branches, instead of going right in where at the thickest part, we're going to move down the wreath just a little bit and we'll weave them in further down to where it just naturally makes the next section thicker, and then the next branches we use will go in about here and then all the way around to where hopefully in the end we end up with about the same thickness. But so you just do the same thing. These I have to keep together because they grew together. We're gonna go in and out. Oh, these are beautiful, beautiful branches. And these flexible ends are really nice for just kind of, if you have a spot that's too thick, you can kind of use them as a rope almost because they're easy to get in and out of the rest of the branches. Okay, so this is where we initially started. This is where we just added in our 2 new branches. So we'll probably want to put the next new bunch right in here. It's looking awesome. So there's our initial bunch. There's the ones we just put in. So with our new branches here, we just weave it in like that. Weave this one in somewhere in the same location. And then we start in with the in and out. Okay, the next bunch will go in right about here. Oh, So I hope this is all making sense. You can definitely tell where we started, and we're about right here because the thicker ends of the branches have gone in on this side, so it's much more weighty, but it'll get a much more balanced appearance as you work your way around the wreath form. So I'm just going to continue on. Okay, I think that this is done. I'm gonna call it right here. It's pretty even as I wanna try to get it at this moment anyway. Usually my wreath forms end up with stuff on them, you know, hydrangeas, dried flowers, things like that, greens. So yeah, it kind of just depends on if you want to have this be the decoration itself, which they are really pretty that way. You could add in more, there's like some curlier branches down in this pile if I were to, you know, go through it. And you could weave those more decorative branches in at the very end to give it a little bit more of a decorative look. But I just love that there's no wire, there's nothing in them to where when you're ready to toss this in your pile, you can do that. And it's like 100% compostable and 100% for free. I mean, this is the stuff we're gonna put in the pile anyway. So I love that. So here's a bit of an overhead view of the wreath form. And then that's our pile. It looks like we barely took anything out of it. I think we could probably make 2, maybe 3 more wreath forms out of this pile alone, which I will do later. I want to make sure I have time to go pot up those houseplants. So that's what we're gonna go do next. Here they are on the floor. I just popped them down here when I brought them home last night so that it could get some of the grow light. But we've got a gray philodendron on a pole right here, so pretty. White night philodendron. We've got a tortum philodendron, super funky looking. Prince of orange philodendron, lots of philodendrons. And then a ring of fire philodendron. We've also got this, which they have it labeled Rick-Rack Cactus Shark right here, which is a little bit different than our other one, which is right here. We potted this one up, was it last winter? Doing really well. Okay, I still have a bunch of my Felco cleaning supplies out because I'm not done cleaning all my Felcos. So I'm just gonna scoot those to the side and then get set up here. I should bring those loppers in here and get those started. My goodness, I didn't realize they were so rusted. Be too small. Yeah, for this one though. Okay, I've got a pot picked out for every single one of the plants. I'm going to be using the same potting mix for all of them, including this right here. That's what I used for our other Rick-Rack cactus, and they do tend to like a little bit more moisture. So I think that the regular potting mix works the best for those. So I'm just going to line these up, get them potted, then we'll take a look. There they are, all done, identified. I'm gonna leave them here in the studio for a couple of days before I decide where I'm gonna put them. They may end up in the Hartley, but I just want them to have a chance to adjust to their new containers. And I'd like to kind of see what the water situation is like, to see how quickly they dry out before I add any kind of stone or pebble or any kind of top dress on top of the soil. But I think they all turned out really pretty. So the rickrack cactus shark fin in this gray container, all of these saucers are sealed, so we don't have to worry about any water leaking underneath. Prince of Orange in a just classic terracotta, as well as the Ring of Fire and the gray philodendron. And then in these aged terracotta, we've got the White Knight and the Tortum philodendron. I think they all look gorgeous. And you guys, that is going to be it for today's projects. I just had to pop back out here because it is so comfortable. I know it still looks gray and it looks like, almost looks like we're going to get some sort of a storm. I don't think we're expecting one, but it's kind of darker that way. Anyway, I feel like I'm seeing more and more grass every single afternoon and I'm loving it. So that makes me want to get out and do little chores like the Wisteria pruning. As things open up and we're able to get into certain areas and they're not super wet and muddy, I want to start chipping away at projects like that. I'm looking at it right now and it makes me so happy to see it looking so tidy and ready for the season. I do think I'm going to need to tie that arbor over to the chicken run because it is leaning one direction. See how it's kind of whoop? So if I take like a metal cable, which we do have, and tie it to this metal arbor and then just take it over to one of the 4x4 posts over there, I think I could right it a little bit. In the very beginning, we put this T-post in, which I think we could take out, and that actually might correct it a little bit as well. I don't really love the look of that anyway. So anyway, that's gonna be another thing we work on here fairly soon. Am I seeing some color over here? Are my eyes deceiving me? No. Oh, look at the little violas. Oh, they're so cute. This one seated itself in the ground right at the foot of this bench. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I think the kids and I will probably come back out to the greenhouse this evening and I'll work on more wreaths. And it'll be nice to have a few of those sitting aside for when we decide to do another project, a wreath project. Anyway, we'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you're having a great day. Bye.